For over 4 decades, we've chased the perfect balance between performance and livability. Now, we're opening the next chapter with the release of another exciting new model to come from Seawind catamarans. The Seawind 1270.
Our vision is very stable. We have always strived to build boats that fit within our design philosophy. Great performance, extremely safe, extremely dependable. So our goal is to be one of the market leaders in this market niche. All our Seawinds, every boat right through our entire range is actually striving for the same thing. It's to be the best of that style of boat in that size range. Look, the predecessor of the 1270 was the very successful Seawind 1260. It was a 41-foot boat. This boat was a design that was done some years ago, won many awards around the world, voted the best cruising multi-hull under 50 foot in the USA. These are changes that have improved styling, ergonomics, sailing qualities, comfort, interior comfort, just the whole range over the boat, just to make that boat an even better boat, the best 42-foot boat in the world.
What did we learn from the customer experiences that our customers share with us, and how do we refine that? And it's not the case that you start with a clean sheet of paper when you do product design, of course. You're looking at, well, how can I pluck the best bits that all of our customers are saying, I love this, don't ever change this, this has been the best feature. We say, well, let's grab that, let's bring that into the new model. And it might be something from one of our larger boats, a 1600 that comes down onto our smaller models, and likewise from the smaller models up. So it's all about just using the data, using the information that our owners give to us.
We absolutely are wanting to stay within our design philosophy. They're also boats that appeal to real sailors, design boats that are still great entertainment boats, great fun to be on, great weekend boats, but also boats that you can seriously cruise across oceans, around the world, whatever you want to do. But you must build the boats as light as possible, but also as strong as possible. And they're two conflicting things. Make sure that you have the absolutely world's best engineering going into your boats to Category A, unlimited offshore certification. People will notice most is the new styling. The new styling is that we're making our latest Seawind styling across all our model ranges. 1270 is the boat to take on that styling. Very modern, very exciting, very powerful. We made about 30 or 35 major changes to the previous boat. We have flattened the decks out, we've lifted the bows, and what that's done is created a much more ergonomic boat to walk around the deck. It's created a huge amount of extra space in the interior of the boat. Increase the waterline, obviously, which means increased performance, but they also increase the seakeeping qualities, less hobby horsing, more powerful bows to go in big heavy conditions. This is that the boat is now a little bit longer. It's wider. We've widened each hull by an additional 60 millimeters. The amount of internal space that has given us is huge. What that does is it increases stability in rough weather, better sailing qualities, and also greater interior space. We've added an additional 200 millimeters in the length of the saloon, so across the boat through the saloon. That's made the saloon a little bit bigger, which means that's the living space, especially or the 4-cabin version that we're offering with the new 1270 makes that a lot easier. And there's more headroom in the saloon. There's more headroom in the bedrooms, and that again gives a feeling of a lot more space inside the boat. We're offering the 1270 in 3 distinct styles. The customer can choose either a 3-cabin boat or a 4-cabin boat. They can choose either galley down or galley up.
We've got this different configuration for a boat for us of this size. Typically we always have our galley down, and we're just getting to the space now where we've got enough space in the saloon to be able to put a galley up, so which gives you a forward-facing nav desk. And then we also have down below in the starboard hull what we call a butler's pantry.
We've gone for what they call a longeron system, which is, instead of the normal spinnaker bowsprit, we've gone for a fiberglass extension to run the screecher and the spinnaker off.
Making sure our customers feel safe on board is absolute priority for us. Elevated the guard wires, so we've got the 4-line lifelines all the way around. So that takes you up to 800 millimeters, and anyone that's, approaching 6 foot or above, the 3-line lifeline, really it's pretty low. It's below hip height, so that just takes that safety feature up a little bit.
Another nice feature we've done is the side access gate that makes it very easy to get on and off the boat. We've extended the transom step so that we've also make it easier to get on and off the boat from the dock. We've also put a little bit additional length on the back of the boat, and that's to give us a boarding step, which makes it easier to get onto the boat. Redesigned the underwater shape, and this has been designed for increased performance through the whole range of sailing. The shape is extremely important, so that the boat is maximising its performance through the whole wind range. We use carbon to ultimate strength and as much lightweight as we can achieve, and that's very, very important, so that you minimise the amount of impact that the waves are going to have on your boat. The construction of all our cruising boats using the most modern materials that are available today that meet our goals as a lightweight but super strong, super tough cruising catamaran. We build all our boats out of vinyl ester resin, which is a modified epoxy resin. We use different types of unidirectional and multi-directional e-glass together with carbon reinforcement where it's needed in high structural areas and high stress areas. We're basically laminating the boat using a 100% vacuum to make it a very tight laminate that ensures we don't have any excess resin in the laminate, which means that maximise our glass to resin ratio, and that creates the highest structure, the strongest structure in a composite boat. We've raised the bows and the front beam by 250 mils. What that does is it creates an enormous amount of extra clearance between the front beam and the water. It creates a lot more storage space up in the forward section of the boat. We've also reversed bows on the boat. They look great, they look very powerful, but they also increase the waterline length, which means that your sailing performance is increased. The extra additional buoyancy means that the boat is more stable through the water. We stood up more vertically both the side windows of the saloon and also the top side, so a little bit more vertical, and the forward windows in the saloon are more vertical. We have a lot of really good and relatively unique design features system on all our boats. And the helms are totally protected from the same level, so that you're not having to climb upstairs to get to the helm or come down off stairs, which can be dangerous in big seas. All our controls come back to the cockpit, so you can actually sail the boat without ever leaving the cockpit. Now that's a huge safety feature. You can shorten your sails, you can reef your sails, you can do absolutely everything from the cockpit. They're very ergonomically easy, and they also provide 360-degree visibility, this indoor-outdoor experience, so that when you go onto the boat, there's a seamless move from the outside into the inside, into the saloon. With this 1270, we will, in the latter part of 2026, we will be offering this boat not only as diesel versions, but we'll also be offering the boat with a hybrid electric version. Technology is now here, and we can make use of that technology to make very efficient long-range cruising boats.
Over the last 10 years or so, we've really seen significant growth in the multi-hull scene, and especially in catamarans, where we've not only had monohull sailors that have had this sort of awakening and moving over to the catamaran scene, but also people that are new to boating are coming straight into the catamaran. And I think really it's just this awareness of how life on board a catamaran just offers so much more than a monohull in your lifestyle. And I think the lifestyle you get on a catamaran is much more akin to that we typically have in our normal lives away from boating. The catamaran really just offers so much more space because of the wing deck. It gives opportunity for beautiful open spaces, entertainment spaces, and you have your accommodation typically below, and then you get these big entertainment decks that we can use for lifestyle when you're cruising or just doing your weekend sailing. It's great to see that as an industry, the full catamaran market has really exploded in the last few years. We build boats that are performance oriented, but they're not complicated and they're not complex to sail. We sit at this threshold where essentially for our boats, and it's really across our full range, if you want to get our boats to sail faster, you really need to sort of push through this threshold where you have to either start spending significantly more amounts of money to go to some exotic materials like carbon and epoxy throughout the boat, or you need to start putting in more complex sailing systems, dagger boards and a more complicated sail arrangement, or you need to simply start taking things out of the boat to make it lighter, which means you're dropping off on comfort. So we just sit in this threshold where to get the performance to go any higher than what we've got at the moment, and we find for the majority actually sitting with a nice level of comfort and going fast enough. So I think our typical customer on a boat like this, the 1270, is realistically a couple. And we find people that are just coming up to retirement age is very often coastal cruiser for a period where they might be doing just a few weeks at a time, but just regularly using the boat, coming out in and out of the marina. And then we also have people that are really going on a full-time liveaboard arrangement. Everybody that's buying a Seawind is really sort of saying, I'm buying this boat because of its capability. Our main manufacturing facility is based in Vietnam, and the bulk of our boats now actually get launched and handed over through that process, through that facility. So we launched the boat in Vietnam, but that's actually a good thing for us in that we now have our team take the boat from Vietnam. We sail to Ocean Marina in Thailand and Pattaya, which is an absolutely world-class marina. As you sail down the coast and then up the coast into Thailand, that gives us typically a broad range of conditions where we really get a good testing on the boat, we get a good shakedown process. It gives us the ability to really have that factory direct contact. We can work with the customer, whether it's the initial sort of the bedding in process and making sure that the boat is actually physically correct. The customer handover process, just making sure that we are delivering the appropriate information that customers are able to then take the boat confidently. If we need to do some additional training, we can do that from our Thailand facilities. One of the great outcomes of doing our handovers in Thailand is that we've started having these wonderful Seawind owner communities building as there's groups of people from US, from Europe, from Australia, all over, taking delivery and spending 4 months, 6 months sailing out of Thailand, and they build great owners communities. So it is that we get this group of Seawind owners all joining and sailing together, and right now we've actually got 9 Seawinds all sailing together in a rally that's going in Southeast Asia. So it's a great opportunity to build relationships with fellow Seawind owners as well. We also have our facility in Turkey, so it's very feasible that we can launch the boat in Turkey if we ship it over from the factory here in Vietnam, and we'll have our Turkish delivery team hand over to European customers. We've got both options available for factory-based, factory direct handover, and then of course we have our distribution and our dealers, our worldwide dealer network, where we can ship boats to and have our teams launch and commission there. When you've got a Seawind that arrives in somewhere like Australia, that's our home territory. So that's often where people, if they're doing a short program and sailing over a sort of a 2-year period or a 3-year period perhaps, and they're then looking to sell the boat, well, when you arrive in Australia, that's our home territory, and our resale value in Australia is still strong because it's the home of Seawinds. But the local handover program has been a nice addition to our offering over the last few years, and it's really giving good value to our customers.
We want our owners to fall in love with their boat, and I think we've been very, very successful in that. We get people to just appreciate all the design features, use all the design features, but just feel really happy that this is the boat that they've chosen for themselves and their family.